help us. And Karen Gross, who works with our career services and our alumni department, for helping us kind of put this all together and tracking down some really exceptional hygienists that are working outside of clinical practice. So what we're going to do is we're kind of just going to go down through our panelists, and they'll talk to you about your day. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself, raise your hand. You guys are Zoom pros by now, so you guys kind of probably all know the etiquette. And they do have a list of the questions you submitted in class ahead of time, so they do have some of their talking points ready. Just let's just kind of go for it. I'm going to start by asking Karen, do you have anything to add? Sorry.
No, I don't. Just welcome and thank you very much for participating.
Okay, so then we're going to start with Cindy, and I'll let her kind of talk about her day and her role and her story.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for having me here. I really enjoy speaking to dental hygienists and students and other hygienists who are outside of clinical practice. I graduated from Northampton as a hygienist in 1996 and promptly went to work as a full-time dental hygienist in the clinical realm. And what I learned was I didn't really know much about the business aspect. And so I continued to work 10 years or so, and then I had my children. I went back to a different kind of private practice where I did sedation and implant dentistry, which I quickly got out of and moved to an office here in New Jersey. When I interviewed at that space, it was a business owner, wasn't a dentist, who interviewed me. And together we came up with a plan to build his business. And so he had one office, and then we continued to build more practices. And how I got into my role was I got really good at talking to patients about dentistry, dental hygiene. And then I became the clinical director for the dental hygiene program or team, excuse me, in our small organization. At that point, it was 4 offices. Now, over 10 years being with this company, Dental Care in New Jersey, we have 10 locations, and I'm currently the vice president of team development. So I went from being a person who would help other hygienists learn how to talk to patients to becoming a person who talks to every single person and coach in our company about patient education, patient communication. You know, one of the biggest things that we probably don't learn in dental hygiene school is is communication, how to put that all together. So my day-to-day, I'll kind of jump to my day-to-day. My day-to-day at this point looks at production and what we're producing in the company. I help prepare for meetings, whether I'm meeting with the CEO, the owner of the company, or the vice president of operations, to make sure that we're running the business properly. I write policies and procedures, and I conduct staff meetings. You know, something that's coming up in April is oral cancer awareness. So I'll be speaking with all of our offices and preparing for staff meetings to talk about the importance of oral cancer screenings and oral cancer awareness. The biggest thing I do is build relationships in our company and with our teams. We're humans, so it's sometimes difficult to get along. And so that's one of the biggest things that I do is help with conflict resolution and helping people really build solid teams so that we can help take care of patients. And so that's what I do.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? If not, we're going to move down to Ashley, because she's the next box that I see.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. Okay. So, so you're doing all of this just with the dental hygiene degree, 2 years, right? And by you working at a private practice, that's when all these avenues open for you, these doors, and you are what you are now. Okay.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. I have just an associate's degree. I would caution you to ever say that. You have a dental hygiene degree and you are a professional. So always start at that platform.
Okay.
The reason I got to this position, to really managing a multi-million-dollar company, is because I never said no. I said yes to every opportunity that came my way, and then I figured out how to meet the key performance indicators, the KPIs they're called. And so anything that was put in front of me, it was, yeah, I can do that. no idea really how sometimes to do it. So, so right now my title, I know somebody asked a question, what's my title? It's
Yeah.
Vice President of Team Development and Learning. I teach people, whether it's the business, communication, you know, how to stay as a team. And I also saw a question, do I miss clinical? Up until right before COVID, I actually temped on Saturdays just to keep my hands in it, if you will. It's been very difficult in the past 2 years because we've opened two new offices, excuse me, with 2 more to come this year. So it's been very difficult to do. I do miss it though. I do miss the patient relationship, and it was part of who I was for a long time. I've moved into a different part of who I am, and you know, again, communication is really what I'm doing now. Developing teams to communicate with patients and to get them to do their dentistry.
Cindy, how big of a staff-wise are you working with?
Over 200 people.
Oh, wow.
Start off with just 4.
Great. Okay. Anybody else have any more questions? We could always swing back if you don't have any currently. We'll give it like 30 seconds. Like a speak now or forever hold your peace type of thing. Next, we will have Miss Shelley, if you'll go next.
Sure. I don't know if I can top Ashley. That sounded really, really interesting. I feel like mine's going to seem very boring now, but my name is Shelley Long. I am a Northampton grad. I think we're all Northampton grads. Are we not for the most part? No? Yes? No? Okay. Anyway, I am a Northampton grad, graduated in 1998. Started in 1996 when Cindy was graduating. So you look familiar, so I may know you there. But what I do is I'm a clinical specialist for Avisa's insurance company. We are the third-party administrators for Medicaid and Medicare dental benefits throughout the United States. And my role as a clinical specialist is I investigate dentists for fraud. So I should back up a little. I actually did do 18 years in clinical practice. 17 of those years was with the same dentist. And the reason I decided to start looking outside of clinical hygiene is because he was getting ready to retire, and I honestly could not imagine myself working for another dentist. So I was very fortunate to find him and my place in his office so soon after graduation, because, you know, a lot of people do jump around until you find that fit for you. And, you know, I always say my ethics too, because I wasn't really into pushing bleaching on every single person, even an 80-year-old person walking into the office, which I found in some offices that I worked for. So basically, I just started looking, and prior to going back to school to be a dental hygienist, which I went back at age 25, I worked for a multi-specialty practice and did like their insurance billing and their coding and stuff. So insurance was always something that was very interesting to me. So I just kept an eye out on the job boards, just kept throwing out resumes, and this one hit. And I actually started with the company in 2016, and I started as a provider relations representative. So I had the northeastern part of Pennsylvania. I was the Geisinger rep, which is one of the Medicaid plans here in Pennsylvania. And I traveled anywhere from Carbon County to State College to all the way like north of State College into, oh goodness, I can't even think of the county now, so I apologize, but I went all the way up along the border of New York and followed all around there. So that was fun. It was interesting. I then became the supervisor of provider relations, and I oversaw 5 different states. So our reps that were in 5 different states, I managed them. So that was fun because I was able to travel to all the different states, go out in the fields with them, really get to know our providers. Then the opportunity for me to put my clinical hat back on came up, and I joined we call it the clinical management team because it's a lot softer name than fraud, waste, and abuse. But that's basically what we do. I look at, I have data specialists that keep an eye on, we have a dashboard that shows all of the providers' billings and billing habits, and we keep an eye on that. And when something hits, they pull member records and then they get sent to me and I review them. And it's fun. Sometimes it can be very interesting. Sometimes it can be very monotonous and can be sometimes boring and boring is you're finding that dentist that's really doing everything that they're supposed to be doing. We've had some really interesting cases that my mouth is just totally dropped. Like, I can't believe that's happening. Whether it's quality of care cases or just gross negligence that's occurring, and that could be super sad. But I'm also thankfully getting involved in some HR aspects of our company. So that's a lot of fun. I do develop educational pieces to send out to our providers still. I did that in PR and I'm still doing that now because I'm really only one of 2 or 3 hygienists that work for the company. So it's very limited. We have a lot of people working that have dental experience, but a hygienist, there's only 3 of us. So it's a lot of fun. Every day is different. I work from home, completely remote, for the last 6 years. So I do miss my patient interactions. I had some really great patients. Obviously, 17 years in one practice, you really gain some relationships. So I do miss that. And like Cindy, prior to COVID, I would temp on occasion on a Saturday, but I have not gone back since then. I see a question here. What kind of fraud are you looking for and how? So I kind of already answered that they watch our dashboard that gives the outliers, and most of the outliers are surgical extractions. Providers get paid more for a simple or surgical than a simple extraction, so the providers are upcoding. We look at where they're doing a ton of occlusals, but they're really preventive resins. They're not really resins that were due to decay. Nitrous on patients that they don't really need it. So one thing with the government sector, everything has to have some form of medical necessity. So a lot of the times they don't. I'll tell you a really quick case that I'll leave the providers' names out so you don't have to worry about it. And it wasn't in the state of Pennsylvania, but we actually were referred. This provider was referred to us by the Office of Inspector General, and it was a pediatric dentist. And unfortunately, he was trying to upcharge, and he would get the patient in the chair and he would instruct them to try to grab at his hand when he was coming at them with a needle to numb them up and anesthetize them. So then that way he could go take them to his surgical center and put them under to do the dental treatment. So he was obviously putting those patients at risk. And the assistant actually videotaped him doing this and turned it into the Office of the Inspector General. So he was in our network. So we reviewed everything and found the necessity was not there. Also found he was drilling into teeth that didn't need to be done, also to pad his pocket. So it's sad. It's sad. Yeah, everyone's like, oh my God, crazy. Wow. Yeah. And that's just, honestly, that's a smaller one compared to some of them that I've seen. So it can get a little crazy. Since you're working with a company that does Medicaid, Medicare, is it linked with the government? So we are linked with the MCOs within the states. So each state has a number of different MCOs that have government contracts to provide benefits for dental. We are the third-party administrators of those benefits. So we do everything for those MCOs. So billing, fraud, waste, and abuse. I'm sorry, not billing, claims. We pay their claims, we do their pre-ops, we do their fraud, waste, and abuse, and all of that kind of stuff. So no, that was not just in the news. So nice try, but no, it wasn't. You're not going to figure out who this one is. But so there's a lot of interesting stuff that happens. So I guess any other questions for me?
Some people would like to know what your hours are like since you work from home and you handle other states.
Yeah, so I can pretty much make my own hours. The one big thing about working from home is knowing when to turn off your computer and stop working. Typically, I'm on the computer probably about 6:37 in the morning, and I usually try to stop myself around 4. So those are usually the hours I do, but too, I can also step away and go for a walk, and I just put myself on do not disturb, and I need to take that time away because sometimes you're sitting for hours at a time. So
Is there one state or another that you see more abuse happening?
So out of all of the states that we're not in all of the states across the United States. We unfortunately see a lot in our Philadelphia area, and we see a lot in our DC market, unfortunately. We've had a lot of DC providers that ended up in jail.
Do you think that's just because of the large number of providers in those areas, or?
Definitely Philadelphia. We've got a lot of providers. Every other corner there's providers. And when you catch them doing one thing, they'll shut down and then start on another, open up under another tin. And they call it the shell game. So they're constantly repeating the habits. They just change their tax IDs thinking that we're not going to catch them. So, but DC, it's because they cover, I won't tell you what I call it. I'll be professional, but they cover everything under the Medicaid world, which is just absolutely shocking because in most states, anybody 21 and over can't even get a crown, endo. I mean, they can't get any of the necessary treatment. So it's interesting.
Shelley, did your job require additional schooling?
No, it did not. I have my public health. It did not require. I am though currently finishing my bachelor's degree because my company does provide that for us. So as far as they have a plan. So I am actually getting my degree in health management right now.
Any other questions on anything? Somebody said congratulations to you, Shelley.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'll be 51 on Friday. I never thought I'd still be in school, but my oldest and I will be getting our degrees in the same year. So there we go.
Okay, if there's no more questions, we'll move on to Latasha. You're next in the block game.
Good evening, everyone. I want to say thank you for having me be a part of this panel. I graduated from Northampton Community College in 2000, and I did clinical practice right from the start. I got my public health dental hygiene practitioner license as soon as they allowed it. So that was like 2009. I was super excited. I was like, this is great. So I still do clinical practice. I've been doing it for 21 years. I work for current doctor director for 16 years, and I'm still with him. But just 2 years ago, I opened up my own mobile hygiene business. So it's LSC Mobile Hygiene. And why I started it was years ago, probably about 10 years ago, I was working for Lehigh Valley Hospital per diem, and we were doing sealants on second and third graders. We got a grant and it was like awesome. We had these mobile units. We went into the school and we started seeing inner city kids. And I saw such a need with the children. So then I started doing health fairs. So at the health fairs, I had a lot of elderly people come up to me and say, you know, there's a lot of stuff for kids. There's nothing for the old people. You know, all of us who are retired, who are on fixed incomes, we can't get our teeth cleaned. It's just so expensive. I can't afford it. So what happened was Lehigh Valley Hospital pulled the grant from underneath us, and I decided, let me open up my own business. So that was probably, it was 2 years ago. So it was pre-COVID. So it was probably 2019. I started it. So I bought my own mobile unit. I got everything ready, started sending out letters to different places. It was assisted livings, schools, elementary schools, daycares, and I am fee for service. So I don't work with any Medicare or Medicaid. I made it affordable that it comes to less than $10 a month if you came every 6 months. So I started that, and then COVID hit. So all the things I had lined up just got frozen. Well, then last year I got a grant from Allentown, City of Allentown, to see 100 people. And they gave me a nice amount of grant, to, a nice amount to see 100 people. And I set up at a social service place, and they signed up online, and it was free for them. And they came and got their teeth cleaned. And it was amazing. I just rolled the money back into my business and got even better equipment with the ultrasonic attachment. The stuff that the hospital had provided for us, I was able to purchase on my own. And then having great relationships with what you talked about earlier is what got me a lot of free products. And I went to my boss and I told him, I said, listen, after you're done retiring, I don't want to work for anybody else. So I'm opening up my own business. And he goes, listen, you see a lot of these sales reps, talk to them, see what they can give you for free. And he also has given me some free stuff. So I got a lot of free, like toothbrushes and toothpaste, but the bulk of the products I purchase on my own or with whatever I make back from doing what I do. Right now, I'm in a lull because of COVID, but I have some things in the work with the City of Allentown again, because I've reached out to a lot of people last year and they want to see me again. So it's nice to make those connections and to be able to provide back to the community, especially when you see people who've never been to the dentist. Children, I don't even know how they get these papers signed. They've never been to the dentist, and they're in 5th and 6th grade. So I love what I do. The clinical part, you can't take away from me. I have a passion for it. I would do it for free if I could live in my house for free, but I can't. So that's what I do. Questions?
We have some questions. The first would be, do you have people volunteer with you or for you?
Right now, I don't have anyone working for me or volunteer with me, because most of the time when I'm set up, it's in a small space. I may bring my daughter along with me just to do documentation, so there's no cross-contamination. So she's like inputting information, because the one thing you have to do when you open up your own mobile business, you have to have documentation. You have to make sure you have referrals to dentists. You have to do everything that the state asks you to do, make sure you have all that stuff done. So no, right now I don't have any volunteers, but my goal is eventually to get more hygienists to come along and become a part of LSC. And we have volunteers and we're providing these services to the city, to Lehigh Valley, and they get paid for it, but be able to just expand.
The next question was, how long did it take you to get your permits and your grants?
So I am an LLC. What I did was I actually had people reach out to me. So they saw what I was about, and they contacted me through my webpage, and they did all the legwork for the grant money because I'm not a nonprofit. So they were a nonprofit that pretty much hired me to do the service. And then as far as the paperwork was easy. You just file all your paperwork through the state, make sure that you're the only business that's in that name. And I got my paperwork back in less than 30 days. You do put a lot of upfront money, but the reward is seeing the patients when they come in and they say, thank you so much. Like, you just made my day. Like, I always was fearful of getting my teeth clean, and now I'm not afraid anymore. And a lot of times I find that people have insurance, they just don't know who to go to, you know? So I give them that avenue because I've worked for quite a few doctors, and I send them to the right places.
What would you say the toughest part of getting your business started?
Red tape, getting through to the assisted living and nursing homes and things like that. It's really all on who you know, but you have to stay persistent, keep sending the letters, keep sending everything. You know, if you have that one client in your clinical practice that is in assisted living, and they say, look, I'm like, they're wheelchair bound, it's difficult for them to come in, you know, have that discussion with them. I can come see you because I'm a public health dental hygiene practitioner. Most of them are private pay. And as you know, I don't do anything sneaky behind my boss's back. I would talk to him, and he most times doesn't have a problem because he sees it's an inconvenience for the client, for the patient. You know, he's still going to be their dentist. I'm just providing the hygiene services.
And can you just give us an example of the weight of your equipment and how easy it is to move around? Because I don't think the girls understand that.
It's on rollers. It is a mobile unit. It weighs about, I would say 70 pounds, 75. It comes with an attach, like you pull up the handle and you can wheel it, but then you have to lift that thing up to put it in your truck. It comes with a Cavitron. It has a high speed, it has a slow speed, it has high suction, it has low suction. In order for you to get a good quality one, because you want to be able to just do what you do best. And it has, I said a piezo, it has a piezo. So it's 75 pounds. And then I also purchase I usually know how many clients I'm going to see for the day. So you know how all of the makeup people have that nice little roller thing? I purchased one of that and I put all my supplies in there so that way I can set up my day. I have a chair. My chair has a little bowl with the thing that you can spit in, but I usually don't like patients to spit in that because I don't want to have to keep cleaning it after each client. I don't want them to see that. So what I'll do is have them spit in a cup and suction it through my high speed, which they won't see, because I run my lines and I disinfect. But that's about 75 pounds. Then all your other stuff, your chair is probably about 15 pounds, you know. So you do have to have some muscle. My husband bought me a cart that I can stick everything on that doesn't have wheels, and I can push it to where I'm going and set up.
Great. Any other questions? I don't think so. I think we're all done for now. And then I'm going to move on to Miss Ashton, if you would entertain us, please.
Yes. All right. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Ashton Overheiser, and I am the Community Marketing and Outreach Manager for Spark Dental Management. So I am a former Northampton dental hygiene alum, and I graduated in 2016 from the program. So my current position, I lead efforts to foster and grow the referral streams within the community partners, such as dentists, pediatricians, nonprofits, and other local organizations. So I oversee the outreach and marketing efforts for 3 different brands of pediatric dental offices. So I oversee Children's Dental Health, which we actually do have locations close to Northampton in Trexlertown and Easton. And then Pediatric Dental Associates and Dentistry for Children. So I oversee, it's a total of about 30 offices within Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey. So I essentially team up with office managers and staff, and I assist in the planning, coordination, and execution of community-based events. So, and also another hat I wear is I help train them on how to present for lunch and learns, parent informational sessions, community partner visits, children dental themed presentations, etc. So it's very hard to say what a typical day would be for me at work, just because every day is so different. And one day I could be going out to 10 dental and pediatrician offices, helping to direct market our pediatric services and offer lunch and learns. The next day I could be training a clinical staff member on how to present at a daycare or school. The next day I could be doing administration work and reaching out to local organizations to set up outreach events and offer dental screenings. So honestly, it just depends on what I have scheduled for that week, and it can change on a dime. So I know as far as Ashley's in sales too, so you have to be flexible with your time, especially in the career path of kind of sales and marketing. So as far as my past experience that have led me to this role, so I have, I felt like my knowledge and whatnot too to become successful and grow. It all started before dental hygiene school. So I was a dental assistant for 3 years. And just to let everybody know, this world is very small. One of the panelists on the call today, to Lori, I actually was a dental assistant working at an office that she was working in. So I looked up to her whenever she was a hygienist. So, it's just kind of cool to see a full circle. And again, dental community is very small. So I was a dental assistant for 3 years, then progressed on to dental hygiene school. Then I went back to online schooling to get my business degree at the University of Alabama. So the reason why I switched careers was very much so of having carpal tunnel and back issues that it gave me pain. So I just want to remind everybody that how important it is to practice the right ergonomics too, and making sure to take care of your body, because dental hygiene, practicing dental hygiene is physically demanding too. So as a dental hygienist, I worked in many specialties, including pediatrics, perio, cosmetic, as well as general. So I also went on to create my own temping agency. So I also had my own LLC. And it, again, filing the paperwork and whatnot too was not bad. And like they had said before, just upfronting the money, but it was nice. So I ran my own LLC for my temping agency. I worked for myself and marketed my own temp agency through social media and direct sales. I also had a few temp hygienists that I would place in offices that needed employment relief. So I moved all around. I have my license in Maryland, Florida, and Pennsylvania. So when the pandemic hit in 2020, I started researching different job opportunities, just because not only was I in pain from carpal tunnel and, back issues and working towards my business degree, I also, wasn't sure where the dental profession was going in the couple months after being told we couldn't work for an extended period of time. So I did a lot of research, and I ended up taking a job as a clinical liaison at a dental lab. So I worked as a sales representative. So I had to go through some intense training to just learn the dental lab inside and out, along with the terminology. So I've been in dentistry since I was in high school. So I had over 10 years of experience, and I still had so much to learn in the dental lab world too. And then, again, just the other element of me not knowing the sales representative world too. So it was also a learning curve at first. So after all the training, and that took about, I would say, about a month till I got things down completely. But I lived on the road. So I covered part of Pennsylvania and Delaware. I would go door to door, to local dentists, specialists, whatnot too, and just promoting the services of the lab. I would offer lunch and learns and just partnering up with local vendors such as Zimmer Biomet, Itero, Benco, etc. So then after I got some experience in the sales world, I did take a brief position at Benco Dental as an inside sales representative. And I just kind of wanted to learn the product side of dentistry. This position was difficult for me because it was a remote position from home. And I was so used to being a road warrior that it was hard for me to sit at a desk at home all the time, 24/7. So inside sales was much more of an obstacle than outside sales because your only way into these offices are by phone or email when you're inside. So it was harder to connect with them, make them aware of our products. I wasn't able to give them print material. It was just essentially a phone call. So in today's world, a phone call is not something everybody wants to do. And since the pandemic hit, everybody is so zoomed out and they just want to talk to people. So the struggles I kind of encountered too, inside and outside, I would say, especially with the outside world, is whenever you're trying to do door-to-door sales and COVID's here, you're not allowed entry into buildings, you get denied lunch and learns, staff can't eat in the same room or gather around a computer for a Zoom lunch and learn. So, just kind of being flexible. I had to call from the parking lot and ask their COVID protocol. And, during this time and even currently still, I just make sure to always pay attention to the signs on the door and respect their protocols. But, it's, again, not an easy position, especially transitioning during the pandemic as well. So one thing I do love about my current position now is that I can market our pediatric services through education and my former dental experience. So I'm thankful my company allows me the time to educate the community on the importance of children's dental health and give back by providing free dental screenings and essential items. So, we're always very involved in outreach and whatnot too. So we give out free bags, with toothbrushes, fun giveaways for the children. Our practices accept most state insurances. So that's why, I'm very familiar with Medicaid and CHIP. So, and that, is kind of the way that we help the underinsured community just receive services. So some challenges I have faced with my current position are putting in long days to make up, my goal amount of community partners visited and many hours of driving. So a lot of wear and tear on my vehicle. As far as work-life balance, you get a mix. So there are some long days that you could put in. However, I feel like it all evens out in the end. So when I was a sales representative, because I know I'm more of, I increase referral streams rather than sell a product or necessarily a service. But yeah, definitely being a sales representative and trying to hit your goals and your numbers too can be stressful as well, because sometimes your pay relies on it too. So now that I'm out of that role, I do feel a little less stressed and a constant worry of just hitting my sales marks. So in my role now, there are many opportunities to grow within my company. I know we had just merged with another dental support organization and are now acquiring more offices too. So I know we'll keep growing and looking for better ways to market our services to the local community. So, and lastly, as far as dental hygiene goes, I do miss connecting with my patients. And of course, I miss using my Cavitron on heavy calculus that is located right on the linguals of Section 5. So I still watch my YouTube videos just to get my fix of that too, but I know it's a satisfying feeling that I miss deeply. The other thing that I miss having is a sense of completion at the end of my clinical hygiene day. So it's, very satisfying to complete all your patients and just clock out and leave it at work. So with office positions, you can't always do this because some days I do work from home and my work is always with me. So it is hard, to disconnect from that and kind of feel that sense of completion too. So I still do have my hygiene license active. And the only time I really practice hygiene is when my brother, who has autism, is due for a cleaning. He will not let anybody else touch his teeth, of course. So I think it's a good way for me just to kind of keep my skills active as well. So yeah, well, that's a little bit about my professions, I should say. I know it was a lot, but if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
It doesn't look like we have any questions, just lots of
All right,
support and
awesome. Yes.
awesome.
Thank you, everyone, too.
All right, so the last one, we'll have Lori kind of talk about her day.
Hi, I'm Lori Abramczyk. I'm a certified school dental hygienist in the Allentown School District, and I've been with them about 5 years now. Prior to that, I worked for the East Stroudsburg School District. Why did I leave? Because it was a part-time position, and I am probably the oldest person on the panel, so I'm looking at retirement and I want to get my years in for my pension. So I'm a little selfish at this point. The other value is and you probably could have seen him in the background, my 5-year-old grandson lives in Northampton, so I stay with them 2 nights a week. So I have that advantage. I get to know him in a different way as well. So how did I come upon my job? Yikes. I started as a dental hygienist in a private practice. I worked part-time there. I then went to a nonprofit organization and worked there as well, with a lot of Medicaid patients and patients who cannot afford dentistry, with a sliding fee scale that patients paid according to their income. I did that for about 24 years. And they paid for my education. So I took one course at a time at Penn Tech. At that time, they used to have classes on Wednesdays, and you would drive down there and do one class in the morning and one class in the afternoon. And that's how I got my bachelor's. As I finished, I just felt that I wanted to do more. And I started teaching part-time at the community college. And I'm a graduate of Luzerne County Community College, sorry, as well as Kate. Go Trail Blazers, right, Kate? Felt I was just destined to do more than that. And even when I went to school, my goal was to get a school dental hygiene certificate. Bloomsburg University at that time had a program, and now in the state of Pennsylvania, there are no school dental hygiene programs. The number of students that apply are few, and they cannot keep a program open. Unfortunately, money talks, and so you basically do it on your own. And that's exactly what I did. I contacted the state, found the coursework that I needed, found a school dental hygienist that was willing to mentor me, and worked on my certificate to get to that point. So to get to that point, you need a bachelor's degree. So I am a big promoter of education, as Kate knows, and I'm sure Ashton does as well. I know them both for years. And if you are a dental hygienist and you do not like education, then you should just give up now, because that is what we do. We learn and learn and learn and learn, and things are constantly changing, whether it's technology, products, procedures, skills, everything is constantly changing. So you need to be updated on what there is coming up. You want to give your patients the best care that you can, and that's the only way to do it. What else do you need? You need, of course, a dental hygiene license. You're going to laugh, but you need to have good moral character and US citizenship, because when I went to school for education, I found out the true reason for education is to educate a person to be a good citizen. That was the primary goal when they decided to educate people, to be a good citizen. So that is one of the goals for it. What else do you need? You have to have coursework in educational classes. So methods of healthcare and healthcare instruction, organization administration, law, and operation of public schools. Because when we go into a school, just like a teacher, and I am part of the teachers union and I follow and abide by their rules, you have to know what the laws of what you can do and what you cannot do. It's very important to know all that. Adolescent and child development, because we find that children do not develop mentally all at the same rate. If anyone has children that's in the program, you know that. I have 4 children and they all learn differently. What motivates them is different. what disciplines them is different. So you have to be aware of what works and what doesn't, and just trial and error and see what works for that particular child. You need to have credits in special education as well as ESL or English as a second language, because in the Allentown School District, there are 4 dental hygienists. And the reason we are there is because of the needs that exist in our district. We have a large Latino population. We have students, I think right now, 32 different languages are spoken in our district. So you have to be readily available to educate them as well. And I have found that educating students is not enough. We need to start with their parents and their families, because I can educate all the students I want, but if their parents aren't on board with it, it falls on deaf ears, unfortunately. So we really need to reach out to the families as well. The practicum we have to do is at least 60 hours. And like I said, it does need to be under a school dental hygienist. So if you are thinking about the profession, then you would look to reach out to a district in the state of Pennsylvania that has a school dental hygienist employed there, because you would need to get an emergency certification from the state of Pennsylvania to allow you to go into the district and work under them. Once you're finished with all your coursework, you submit it to the state. I think the fee is about $300 these days, and they look over your portfolio and decide if they are going to give you a certificate or not. And like I said, this is the Department of Education, is not through your dental hygiene license or anything else. You have to provide documentation that you have all that. I do hold a PhDHP, however, it is not required, but a lot of the schools rather us have it, because at that point, we do not need a dentist to sign off on us. Every school must have a school dentist so that our district is paid for our services. However, you do not need to have one that oversees us. So that is the advantage. So all 4 of the hygienists in our school district have public health dental hygiene license as well. So what does a typical day look like for me? It like Ashton said, my days are never the same. Every day is different. The first thing I go in to do is check my email, see if there's any students that are having problems that I need to go see, or fit them in my schedule, or contact parents. We use social media with a lot of my elementary schools for parents. So they will message me on there and I will need to get back to them. Some days I do screenings. Some days I do education in the classroom. Some days I just enter data. Some days I'm reaching out to parents constantly, trying to get students work. We work with the Star Wellness Dental Van in 2 of my schools, which is a huge advantage because I can get my referrals into them as long as the parents fill out my paperwork. Believe it or not, the services are free. However, to get some parents to sign up for it is disturbing. So part of my time is also spent filing children and youth reports, because I have parents who don't understand. I try to get through to, and they just don't understand the complications that poor oral health have on them. I try to explain that it has long-lasting effects on their health, and I get nowhere, unfortunately. So I do work closely with a lot of children and youth cases, and it's very disturbing. You know, you assume that people lived the way you did growing up, and that's not the case. And priorities are different for parents who are struggling day to day and they need help. And that is my biggest job, is trying to assist them in any way that I can, whether it be transportation, like free services on the dental van. We try to get gift cards for Uber to get our students to their appointments. We do anything that we can to get them the care that they need. That's basically it. So that's about all I have to say. I think I kind of explained my job. I do no cleanings. I don't know if you're surprised by that or not. There are some school dental hygienists that do. Some school dental hygiene programs have fluoride programs. Some have sealant programs. Latasha, you talked about Lehigh Valley, and they came into our schools and they did the sealants. We do the tracking of it. We do the appointing of it. It's a 16 to 18,000, depending on the year, how many students we have in our district. So we cover about 4,000 each. We try to make it fairly equal. We also cover the private schools in our district as well. We aren't in those schools on a daily basis. We basically do their screenings and education and follow-up. I am not in those schools on a regular basis. So that's the only difference. Any questions?
So someone asked that you went to school for education.
So I have a bachelor's degree in dental hygiene. And then I went for an elementary school certificate to get my dental hygiene school certification. That was the easiest way. A lot of schools will not allow you to take education credits unless you apply to be in the education major. So that's how I did it. I went to Bloom. And then my grad degree is also in education.
Do most school hygienists need a master's degree or is it a bachelor's degree?
A bachelor's is required. Once you get into a school district, you find that your pay increases are due to more credits, and the more credits that you can get, the better off your salary is. Huge advantage of working for a school district is you work from August until June, and you are off during summer. I still practice. I work 2 Saturdays a week to keep up my skills so that I can work in the summer at my leisure. You know, I accept jobs at offices that I like, and whatever fits into my schedule. I don't have to say yes. It's an advantage. And I love clinical. I love working with the patients. And I have to say, it warms my heart so much to hear Ashton's story, and Kate, to see you there doing the job that you're doing. It just makes me so happy.
Mrs. Abramchik was my teacher back. I tell you guys all the time, if you ask my faculty if I would be a teacher, I'm guarantee 300% they would say absolutely not.
Oh, I don't know about that. I knew you weren't just going to do clinical practice. Let's put it that way.
So just as a wrap up, if we can kind of just go down the line, what advice you have for our grads, and one thing maybe that you wish you knew when you were graduating, and your best advice for them going forward. And we'll kind of just still go Cindy, Shelley, Ashley. I forget the order already, but kind of the order you guys spoke to begin with.
Yeah, it's really great to see everybody doing so many different lanes here. I think the first thing is what starts us out doing those lanes is gaining experience. The new graduates, get out, gain your experience, get your platform of things. And it's really hard to take all of the years of school into practical application. So I just want to put it out there that that's something I do on the side as a volunteer. I help students take that do practical application of all of the things that you learned in school, and really hone in on your skills, communication. So please reach out to me. I do that on a volunteer basis all the time, not just for Northampton, but for all of the schools. But the biggest thing I think to learn, to hone in on it, is learn the business aspect of things, not just cleaning teeth. Remember, you're not a tooth cleaner. You're a professional education, a professional in this realm. So keep that front and center.
Yes, thank you for asking me to join again. I was on the panel last year. I love that this year everybody does something different. I felt like I was the only one last year that was not doing clinical practice anymore. So I loved hearing what every single one of us, where we took our career. The one thing that I love the most is, Cindy, when you said, you don't just have an associate's. You guys are killing it getting this degree. And this is not a simple program at all. You've got 4 years, I feel, slammed into 2. And you're coming out skilled professionals. educated professionals. So take that and run with it and get your clinical time in. And if it turns out it's not for you for whatever reason, then just start branching out and looking for your path. You can pave your way. You can create different positions. I received my public health after years of my cousin, who is actually your director, Sherry Myers, kept telling me, get your public health, get your public health. And I kept just saying, yeah. But honestly, I think my public health is what they drew me, or what they drew my company to me. That's what they saw and what they liked, because I am working in the Medicaid and Medicare sector. So, I'm getting my bachelor's. I wish I would have pretty much continued on right when I got out, because I was so into the study, but I was also just needed a break. But, you don't always need your bachelor's. I'm doing it now because basically my company is paying for it. So I just think, why not take advantage of that? But just good luck to you all. And I hope you all enjoy it in whatever passion that you find within the hygiene. I think we all hopefully showed our passion in what we're doing, and it all is related in some way. So thank you. And if anybody has any other questions for me, feel free to reach out as well. Thanks.
I want to say thank you for having me on the panel. This was great. It was nice to hear everything. I don't know Miss Lori Abramchek, but I do remember working with Donna with the school district before they retired. So that was awesome. I just want to say to all of you who are in the hygiene program, you guys are professionals, just like Cindy said, and Shelley and Ashley. We are professionals, and don't let anyone downplay your role. Like, stand for who you are. You are a registered dental hygienist. Make a name for yourself. Always be professional. And I just find your passion in whatever, if it's clinical or outside of clinical, just love what you do. And then make those great relationships and build off of that. I think education is great, just like everyone has talked about. I myself am going back to school right now. I think I'm crazy doing it at 46, but I'm doing it. San Joaquin Valley College. I started just a couple weeks ago, and it's great. But just stay true to who you are, be ethical, and don't let anyone ever downplay who you are. You are a registered dental hygienist, and stand for that and be good at it. Create great relationships, and just make a name for yourself, a good name for yourself.
And I just wanted to say too, thank you so much for your time too, and including me in this panel. It was awesome. It was also awesome to see Lori again too, as it's been many years. But yeah. And again, on that same note too, you're always going to make connections in the dental field too. So, make sure you keep those connections and reach out to them too. It's very inspiring to see people grow, to see people, pervade on too. So, continue. If you want to go back to school too. So yeah. But thank you so much. And feel free to reach out to me as well. Like I said, I have offices that I oversee in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware. I'd be happy to help any of you out too. So, all right. Thank you so much too for your time.
Thank you for your time. I know it's late in the evening for all of you and you've had a long day, but I feel so to be such a part of this, such a diverse group of women is awesome. I learned something tonight myself. I learned a lot about all of your jobs and the opportunities that there are out there. I am part of social media dental hygiene groups where people are just bashing dental hygiene left and right. And I think I have been in dental hygiene for over 40 years. And are there bad things about it? There's bad things about everything. I mean, your families drive you crazy, your employers drive you crazy, your coworkers drive you crazy. But in the end, they're the people that support you. So look for those people that are going to support you, because they will get you through those hard days. They will encourage you to do more, and they will back you up as if you were their own family members. So like other people have said, continue with the relationships, continue educating yourselves, and you'll all do well.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you again to all of our panelists for giving us your time and your stories, because I think it's really motivating for all of us to hear the opportunities that are out there. I'm going to have all of you that are still by your computers, if you could just unmute so they hear a voice other than mine and say thank you as a collective, that might be nice. You guys know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your words.
All right, well, thank you everybody for your time. If there's any last minute questions, here's your quick chance to take them. If not, then I guess we are free to go to bed because it's 7:45. All right, thank you everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.